Media.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Svelte Radio episode. I almost said Svelte episode radio. That'd be wrong. I'm joined by my two co-hosts today, Antony, Brittney. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, we're finally back. The three of us.
All of us together.
In one episode. That's amazing. And today we also have a guest, Ilya. I think that's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
Perfect. I did it. Great. So, Ilya, you are a Svelte developer, or a developer in general, I suppose, right? You're very active on the Skeet site, Blue Sky. I love it. I mean, I really do. Like, it's so nice because you share a lot of stuff, not just for Svelte, but also like some Astro stuff, because I think you use Astro with.
Oh yeah, right.
So that's nice, because I have no idea what's going on in Astro. But we invited you to talk today about NGOs and like working with NGOs as like a developer and stuff. And it seems like an interesting story compared to like everyone else that's just working.
I have a dumb question. What's an NGO?
Oh, right. Yeah. Perfect. I recently gave a talk on this topic and I had a slide. So NGO is an acronym. It's for non-governmental organization. And this is what people most associate with what we actually talk about, which is NPO, and non-profit organization. Because every company technically is also an NGO. But yeah, it's a bit more about like non-profit. So civic society, foundations. So everything which is not governmental and usually not a company.
Cool.
So like organizations that help out in like disaster relief or like homeless people or like stuff like that, or wildlife, saving wildlife. Just some examples, I guess.
I think this is the more like applied or practical non-profit organizations or NGOs. I mean, there are many. Mostly they are advocating for something. I mean, even like Greenpeace and its core is like an advocating or a company or organization which is doing advocacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not all of them have like boots on the ground, but it's many people with some like expertise where the government is for whatever reason not providing the type of service or knowledge that they should be.
Yeah. So we all met at Svelte Summit earlier this year. That was a lot of fun. And you talked about you wanted to do, well, actually, before we get into like the meetup thing, maybe you can just present yourself. Like, who are you? Other than working with NGOs.
Yeah, right. My name is Ilya. So I've been living in Berlin now for like 30 years, and I switched basically careers like multiple times. So like after high school, I joined the army for a while, and then I quit the army, and then I went to university, and it's a bit similar to this US GI Bill. So basically, they paid for my bachelor's, and that also means I can only pick one once. And I chose a social science one, and then towards the end of this bachelor's, I decided that I don't want to pursue a career in like political science or something like that. And then for my master's, I found a place where I could do computer science as a minor.
Interesting
but
combination.
Only as a minor. Yeah, I mean, they have like a term for it. It's called computational social science. It's basically the major is in social science, and then you apply big data methods. Back then, this wasn't like a big thing. And then eventually, I started doing like data visualizations as a freelancer, basically also already for NGOs. And this like one thing led to another. I started building interactives. I started building websites. And now, I'm also self-hosting my stuff.
Nice. Yeah, we talked.
Right.
We talked before the show started about self-hosting and the Cloudflare outage. By the way, yeah, it's nice. So I just wanted to mention, me self-hosting did not save me from the Cloudflare outage. Because I'm using Cloudflare tunnels, so I'm like tunneling all my traffic through Cloudflare, so I don't have to expose my IP and stuff to shady people that want to DDoS my server. So now I'm thinking, should I just ditch Cloudflare as well? I don't know. Maybe I should. So how do you? So you studied social science and then you moved into computer science and then data visualizations. And I assume you found Svelte somewhere around there, like in making visualizations, or when did you discover Svelte?
Yeah, I mean, there are always a bunch of like path dependencies. And one thing is, I first heard of Svelte from Gregor Aisch. So, like the co-founder of Datawrapper, who also presented the SveltePlot library at the Svelte Summit. Because in Berlin and many, I think, places where there's lots of media, there is a meetup series, which is called Hacks and Hackers. And it's developers and journalists meeting. And back then, I was basically just following what they were doing, like interactive journalism, all those impressive visuals. And my idea was, how can I apply this in the NGO sector? So because they have those policy papers, those reports, it's like PDFs with 30 pages or something like this. It's just text. But there is a story and there's data. And how can you help them make this become alive? And he mentioned Svelte. I didn't use it back then because I was just using jQuery, actually, and 11T. And I looked into it.
As long as it works, right?
Yeah, but it was, it was still painful. And then I think I compared like a tiny component to Alpine, and importing Alpine as a library was like the library itself was bigger than a compiled Svelte component. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's it, basically. So this is what I'm going to use. And then I think during COVID, I also was in an online workshop from Tan Li Hao. He did a Svelte workshop. It must have been 5 years ago or something like that. And then this is how I picked it up, because it felt very natural to me, because I knew a bit of like HTML and CSS already. And, Svelte is platform first, so it just like totally felt natural to me to start using it.
That makes sense.
Did I hear that right, though, that you were using 11D, which is like a no JavaScript framework, and then you were putting jQuery into it?
Yeah, but like 11D uses JavaScript to compile to build the website. Or back then it was. So,
but
exactly.
No JavaScript on the front end, right?
Yeah. And now I'm using Astro as well.
Oh, okay, nice.
Right. So if you go from like visualizations, then how did you find, like, how did you pivot into NGOs, or like how did you end up building websites for NGOs? Yeah, doing work for NGOs.
Right. So I didn't think about what I would be doing during my master's, and I had like 2 job prospects or job opportunities, and both would have been were related to the government, and both did not happen for reasons you cannot like imagine. Like in one case, there was like a government affair on federal level, and I was supposed to join as a contractor, and then they just didn't pay the money or make the money available for this. And the other one is we have like a think tank which is government sponsored. Let's call it government sponsored. And for it to have a budget, there needs to be a government. And we had like government, coalition negotiations, and then one party withdrew. And then again, I knew, oh shit, my job entry, my post-army, post-bachelor's, post-master's entry in the market, it's not going to happen. And then coincidentally, because I was also very online back then on Twitter, someone who was like basically working in this space with a vision for, new digital things, they invited me and just introduced me to their boss. And I was like, oh, I need maps for my book.
Oh, wow.
I created maps for the book, and I was like, oh, we need more maps and visualizations for a report. And I did those as well. And then I was like, okay, and now we have additional funding. We would like to put it online.
Right.
I mean, I know how to put an SVG online. I mean, let me figure out if I can also wrap it in some HTML with some text. And this is how it started, right? And this was like with 11T, and I figured out a lot of things, learned a bit, about accessibility and responsive design. And then one thing led to another, and I was booked for other websites, web products. So I didn't plan for it. It's just like I accidentally became a web developer, right? And like this was one pillar, and the other pillar is because I was then implementing interactive visualizations. Media companies or people who are doing data journalism, they noticed me. They saw this on Twitter. I was like, hey, we need support for a project. Would you like to join and work on a particular feature or component? or something like this. And this is how I basically started working with Svelte as my framework full time.
Right. Nice. And so was it like the small bundle thing that pulled you in initially? It sounded like that when you compared it to Alpine earlier.
This was one heuristic, because I had no clue like how CDNs or something like that works. So I was like, oh no, I need to get this bundle size, down as much as possible. Yeah. That was one thing. The other thing is that as a kid, I learned HTML and CSS a bit, and I was running a website, but that was like early 2000s or so.
Yeah.
And then I didn't touch any of that. I'd never learned JavaScript or something like that. And then when I during my bachelor's, I had a student job and I had to write some HTML and CSS. So then, it all came back. Yep. And then when I started working on interactive stuff for the web, and then I saw React, I worked with React like on 2 or 3 projects, and I was like, what the heck is this? I mean, there's HTML and there's CSS. You just need to add some behavior, and there is state in a variable. Why is it not rendering? Why do I need to do extra work to render a value of a variable? And with Svelte, it was exactly like this, right?
Yeah.
It just like you have to have, I call it a JavaScript brain to like understand React. You have to think about things from the JavaScript point of view, but Svelte, like you're thinking about it like HTML, CSS, you have your markup just separated and you keep it separated in your brain.
Yeah, totally agree.
And then with, especially with the accessibility linter and with all those, bindings on the DOM element, like with the attributes binding, the disabled state binding, all those bindings, it felt just like so natural. It's like literally I have this state and I just want to be the state applied here. And so just alone the ergonomics of writing it felt like super natural, because it was just like, okay, I know HTML, I know CSS, I just need some state, just a tiny little
how do you feel about runes?
It took me 2 or 3 months to adjust.
Yeah.
but I have to say, Matthias Stahl from Spiegel. And I was working at a media company like 2 years ago. I just started there, and like the situation was very intense because like one person quit and there would be 4 elections. So I knew I was like in for lots of trouble. And Matthias in April 2004, 4, he posted, okay, Spiegel is using Svelte 5. And I was like, okay, I learned so much from him. If he is going all in on Svelte 5 while it was still in beta, I'm gonna adopt it as well. And then it like really paid out. Mm-hmm. So I'm totally happy. I'm super happy now. Like first 2 months were a shock, but now I'm was it?
Yeah, it's good. I think I had kind of this similar reaction as well. But
especially when they eliminated getter setters, like the explicit ones. There used to be an explicit get set syntax.
Right. Yeah.
And this was the moment I was like, okay.
You mentioned Matthias Stahl. He actually used to live here in Stockholm, and I met him on the I think it was the very first Svelte Stockholm meetup that we hosted over here. So that's a fun coincidence. And now he's at Der Spiegel doing data viz.
And I think he also came to the first in-person summit, no?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was like so long ago. And I was also very stressed out.
Didn't he give a talk?
I have a fear because I remember saying to him that I was literally having this really weird heated debate, or watching a heated debate and just joining in now and then to like troll the people, like to fan the flames a bit, because I thought it was amusing on Twitter. But it was between Dr. Matthias Stahl, is that on Twitter? I don't know if it's a real doctor or not, and someone else. Yeah, and so basically I said to him at the time, may have been the first summit, like, by the way, I'm just trolling you on Twitter, nice to meet you, kind of thing. Something along those lines. So maybe it was the first summit where that happened.
Yeah, I don't remember. My brain was totally fried.
There were a couple of talks from like newspaper organizations at the first summit, and I was thinking that they were one of them.
No, so I think that was Bloomberg. That was Julian and And Brittney.
Brittney.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, he's a really nice guy. You should.
I'll never get that name wrong again because I introduced her as like some other name for some reason, and
Oh, no.
like of course I get my own name wrong. Yeah,
It's not easy. It's not easy doing hard work, you know? It's a lot of names to keep in your head and like read the correct notes and stuff.
And like make sure you're on the right line and
Yeah. So you're gonna so I want to mention this early in the episode because if people drop off, but you're doing a meetup in Berlin, right? Maybe we should talk a bit about that. You just announced it like the other day, I think.
Yeah, but I'm gonna fully disclaim you pressured me into doing this at the summit, basically. Since then, it's been like like a heavy rock on my shoulders to kick it off.
And then I think I shamed you a bit as well on Discord, like you should stop tweeting so much and do the meetup.
exactly, yeah.
All in good fun. Right. I don't want to really pressure you.
I mean, in August, like this thing happened where like for whatever reason, Paolo asked me on Blue Sky if I would like to join the ambassadors, and I was like, I had like real imposter feelings because like all the core maintainers are there, and like I don't contribute in terms of PRs or something like that to Svelte. But then I realized, okay, one thing I can do is actually spread the word, because every time I talk to people about Svelte, like afterwards they tell me, man, you really, it's like, it sounds convincing. You are like hyped. You love it. Sounds good. I'm going to try it. And they try, and then they start using it. And then they was like, oh, it's awesome. And like, yeah, so this is how I like also like actually once created my own colleague, because I told them to start learning it. And then like a year later, I was able to, co-work with them. Right.
Right.
So about the Svelte Meetup, December 9th, should be a Tuesday. We will be hosted by Datawrapper in Berlin in their new office.
Nice.
And we will have 3 talks. And it's not only me doing this, it's also Peter from XYFlow. So basically the person who ported and implemented SvelteFlow. Mm-hmm. This graph visualization, library. We'll have 3 talks. One will be Peter introducing SvelteFlow, talking about in detail, and also doing like a little side extra discussion comparing Svelte to React, because they are maintaining 2 libraries, one for React, which is the main one, XYFlow, and the second one is SvelteFlow. So obviously they have like this, they have real world benchmarks, what it means to basically implement the same library in 2 different frameworks.
That's awesome.
We are still in discussions about the second talk, which might be big, but I can't reveal it. And then depending on how much basically time this person would need for their talk, I will either jump in with the talk or not. And I would talk about this community survey app I built with SvelteKit, Supabase, some bun middleware, Paraglide, all the stuff. So there will be 3 talks. There will be pizza. Registration is on the Svelte Guild host.
Yeah,
you will find Berlin in the network and on Blue Sky. And we have I don't know, like 25 seats maybe, and 20 or 21 already signed up. So
get the 4 last seats. Might actually be full by the time this goes out next Thursday. So hopefully not, but we'll see. We'll see. And
but we have no idea. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But we have no idea like how many people are in Berlin. So this is like where we are like a bit cautious, about like do we get a full room or not? And now like we just announced it yesterday. There were already 21 people who basically signed up within 24 hours. So let's see. I think Svelte is popular.
I think especially in Germany and Berlin area, like there's quite a few companies and things that use it in that area. So I think you'll get quite a few.
Yeah. How is the Berlin tech scene, like other than Svelte? Like, is it a lot of meetups or? From
what I hear from other people living in other places, it might be a bit similar. So before COVID, there were like, you could go to a meetup every day somewhere. There would be one on JavaScript, on TypeScript, on map making, on whatever, on every topic. And then with COVID, I think it there was some like, was it like it hit the dent or so a bit. Now it's recovering, and yes, there's like quite a big tech scene. So, we know Git Butler has an office in Berlin. Datawrapper is in Berlin. All the media companies are there. Yep. All the consultancies are there. McKinsey, Accenture, whatever. Plus we had like 3 or 4 different boot camps. And all the people from those boot camps, they basically joined all those, mobile first companies.
Right.
The one for Lieferando, Amazon. So there are like, I don't know, thousands of developers actually.
Yeah.
So it will take some time to convince each one of them to join and start using Svelte. But yeah, I think maybe
one person at a time.
Right, exactly.
And then we'll take over the world.
Use a megaphone and like go to the canteen and just shout like Svelte.
I feel like wouldn't it be a very Berlin-ish to do like a Svelte tech rave meetup or something like that?
Yeah, right.
I like that.
With some techno, obviously. We need techno.
I'll book my flights. And then
Oh, right. You're an old like rave person, right?
an old rave person. What does that even
Well, I
mean?
mean, I meant you used to go to raves and stuff. Not that
I
you're
indeed
old.
used to go to raves. I mean, I still would if I didn't have 2 children to look after all the time.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
What's a rave like? I've never been to a rave.
What's a rave like? How do you describe it? I don't know. It's probably not for everyone. The music's loud.
Just really
and
loud music.
It's very dark and often feels kind of cold in there till you get dancing a bit. And then it's
there are
just kind of
lights,
like, I don't know,
usually?
it's a weird experience. If you could explain it, maybe it wouldn't be as fun, right? So it's more that you can't really I can't put a pin on why it's good. It's just kind of good.
I mean, it's basically like a nightclub vibe, but different.
It is, but more like I feel like a lot of nightclubs are cheesy and kind of like,
Yeah.
The music's not as great. And where in a rave, you're kind of in that zone and the music continues and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
you can simulate it, like, just code until 3 a.m. put on some music in the background and dim the lights, or I don't know if you have like.
I don't know about the raves you go to, but the raves that I go to don't feel like that.
I feel like you need like those Philips Hue lights that like blink in different colors, maybe, and then you can have the music on and
The strobe lights.
right.
So you need
maybe
the
a
good lights and some
smoke
lasers.
machine. Is that what it's called? Smoke machine? Yeah.
Smoke machine, lasers. You need the people. You need like to be surrounded by people. And
Just
those
just
people,
invite all your friends, have them stand around you while you do coding.
But I think those people around you, they need to be in varying states of consciousness in order to make it feel like a rave as well.
Fair enough.
It sounds like we should have a rave at the next Svelte Summit.
I think so.
And I think I already know who the DJ will be.
Right.
Who's the DJ going to be? I can't DJ, by the way.
We'll
Not in my skill set.
We'll invite Brady, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very
The guy
true.
that made the Svelte radio intro song. Very nice guy.
That's true.
Yeah. He's not
He
been
can
to
do
one
some-
of the Svelte summits yet.
No?
Yeah.
So I think I hope he can come for the next one. That'd be fun.
He can do
he's a
some
really nice guy.
live production. Live
Yeah.
Gotta have a
production.
break from touring.
Right. yeah. Okay, sorry. So a bit of a tangent there. Sorry, listeners. But so what kind of stuff are you building now for NGOs? Like, give us some examples. And how is it different? Well, I don't know how much you've worked with like regular business clients and then NGOs. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, so there are so many differences. I feel it's like it's a bit like really, was it like a stark contrast basically between working for those two environments. But then also I met some employers where they are like right in between, so they feel like they have the like a for-profit mission, so they try to earn money, but then they work like an NGO or administration or something like this. So I think I've seen like basically the three worlds. I think one thing is that like the first thing about NGOs is mostly they don't have their own funding. They usually depend on grants, on donations. This is why they are not for profit. They don't create any revenue, right?
Yeah.
And there are two things. One thing is that they don't have a product to sell. They have insights to sell, or they are trying to advocate for something. So then they are not trying to sell something. They are basically trying to pursue people in learning about something or understanding it or trying to see it from a different point of view. So work for them mostly is like story first. So you need to figure out how to help them to tell a particular story. It could be like a report, or for a website, basically you need to help them figure out like to present themselves so that like, especially if they have different audiences. Because usually like one NGO I'm working with right now, they have two audiences. One is their community, because it's the community basically of Black BIPOC people in Germany. And first of all, it's like a huge community. It's like 1 million people that they estimate. Like Germany has 80 million people, and they assume, or the estimate is that like 1 million has like some BIPOC roots, like African German or African American. That's one thing. And one thing is obviously they try to create stuff for their own community, for themselves, but then they also need to attract funders. So basically, was it like white suit, white collar people who are not black, and people who are maybe like super senior in some federal administration or something like this. And you need to figure out how to make a website work for both of them, for both of those communities. But, and this is the third thing, since they don't have their own budget, they usually have project budget. Project budget means they have applied for funding maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. So whatever you are doing, like then when you are implementing, all the pre-processing, all the preparations happened 2 years ago. And you know what happens like in the tech world within 2 years, right? Yeah. And so they arrive and they're like, hey, yeah, we have like a budget of, I don't know, like 6,000 euros. Can you like get us a website and a dashboard? And we need a newsletter and this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
So obviously this is why you have to use the most efficient technologies you can find. And this is like where Svelte comes in as one of the most efficient pieces of the puzzle. This is like, I think like one of the biggest things that you need to understand first is that it's not that like, we have like a project budget, which we can like adjust. And the deadline is basically has been set like 2 years ago or something like this, usually. That's one thing. And the other thing is they are not used to doing product. So they don't have like a PO or something like that. If you're lucky, they have like a fixed, in their organization, maybe they have a person full-time responsible for communications. If you are lucky, that means that this person knows what the JPEG is and that you can't upload 5 megabyte images. But usually they don't. And usually they don't have their own IT department. They don't have a domain or something like this. So you need to set up everything for them. And the other thing is, it's project-based, so that means that if you launch a website, the funding is done. You get paid once. There is no such thing that they are going to pay you for the next 4 years to maintain it. So first of all, you need to negotiate it in advance. But second, you need to make sure that your website still runs or can be deployed in 4 years with tiny updates maybe.
Right. So interesting. So you're very budget constrained, and you have like a hard limit compared to like if you're working for a client at a company doing like a marketing website or something.
Right, exactly. But then on the other hand, what I see in comparison to like for-profit companies is usually the deadline is not really a hard deadline, unless there is like a particular date that they want to launch a report website because there will be some summit. If this is not the case, there is no real deadline. And that means that even if the budget is smaller, what you then have is time. Yeah. And this is where basically how I think grew into this full stack developer role and why I had this opportunity to try out everything is basically, okay, look, your budget is very limited, but if you give me 3 months of time for this and we do like a weekly iteration, that means that I can study some Supabase, I can study some SQL, I can figure out how to like what stack we could use. And then it becomes a bit more like a, like a paid traineeship or something like this. And then the day rate can be like 500 or even less.
Right.
If you're lucky, you can get maybe like a 700 euro day rate or something like this. But you can figure out how to basically max out on time.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a very different style of working with clients. I've only ever worked with like paid, like not paid, but like businesses, like So it's very, very different. So what kind of stuff have you noticed that are like, so I assume since like the budget is constrained, you kind of have to prioritize, right? What do you often work with like minimizing the scope, changing the scope of what the the NGO wants? Because you mentioned like we want a newsletter, we want blah 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 blah, but then like there's only so much money to implement stuff, right? So what in terms of like, yeah, where would you not cut corners, but like what would you prioritize when in your experience?
Oh, that's a tough question because it depends.
Right.
No, lucky me is that I also did this like one design thinking certificate, and then it helped me with some. I mean, I know like design thinking. It's very similar to human computer interaction or something like this. It's like this marketing buzzword for a particular way of thinking about what you're going to do. What I'm trying to do as a principle is, there's this project triangle or product triangle. Was it feasibility, desirability, and the third pillar? Feasibility, desirability. So does it make sense? Can we afford it? And what do we actually want? And what I'm trying to do with them is to ignore feasibility, because we will find ways to make it feasible, so to implement it, and focus on desirability. And then they have many, many ideas, huge wish list. Second thing is that we do is we prioritize, which is like essential for the launch, for product launch, which is essential to achieve a particular goal. And everything else is basically on top. If we have time, or if there's something that I want to basically learn in my free time, then we're going to bake it in. But otherwise, we are trying to focus on the core. And this is also like one thing that you need to teach them or to figure out with them, is that for themselves, they need to figure out what the unique selling point of something is, or what the core is. Sometimes
they probably don't know.
Right, exactly. And because I think in like 9 out of 10 cases, it's academics. It's people with a political science degree or public policy degree or something like this. They have so much knowledge in their brain, but no one like ever taught them at uni or during the PhD or whatever how to tell a story, how to focus on the essential parts, and like basically how to tell them how to turn a page into a single paragraph.
Right.
This is actually where the most of the work is, figuring out the story. And then you realize, okay, maybe we don't need this feature. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And if you like also all those techniques like how might we, or why, the why method, like ask someone why they want something 3 times, like why. Something. Right. And then it will be like 9 out of 10 times it will eliminate itself and the feature will disappear.
Yeah, it's a difference between like a highly technical person or a discipline of being highly technical versus being product orientated. And I think that there's a huge void there, that the people that you want on your team are not necessarily the most clever or technically adept people. They're the people the biggest product focus when you're a small company or when you're a small team.
So maybe there's a comparison to draw there, like between very, very small companies and NGOs, like because there's only so much knowledge that you can have inside of a small company, right? I mean, sure, there are like geniuses in small companies that know everything, of course, but I assume that's the case in NGOs as well.
One thing I notice is I think in companies, for whatever reason, even in small ones, there's still some type of like a division of labor or hierarchy. Right. And they have like at least an implicit understanding of who decides and who maybe can veto something, and who is basically just there so that their advisory can be heard, but it's not a blocker. In NGOs, maybe because of this community spirit or something like this, it's usually very flat. So there are many people who can veto something, and there are also many people who can voice ideas, right? And yeah, this is the hardest part basically, because sometimes it's like contrarian opinions or contrarian wishes, and this is not, you can do the regression to the mean, then you will have like a mediocre product, or you need to kind of do some Game of Thrones thing behind the scenes, so that like a particular it's lots of politics at these companies, and it's personal, because this is also one thing at NGOs. People very often are very like personally invested in a particular topic. Yeah. Because either they are like they care a lot, because it's either they are impacted or it's someone whom they know who is impacted by some social policy or so. Everything is quite personal. Like lots of the stuff. This is why also they like very often burn out. Because there is no separation between work and free time. Right. So yeah, there are like many very special things. But I think it prepares me for the for-profit market.
But if you're very invested in something as well, but the company structure means that you can't change it, that's also quite tiring. and it can burn you out very quickly, right? So, if you're given, and I guess in my world, I would call that being invested in something ownership. If you're given ownership of something, or you believe you have ownership of something, you should be able to change it at your will without having to go through lots of red tape, which is probably what I call the other bit. I know flat structures generally, I prefer flat structures. I think they work, but I've never really tried a true flat structure at scale. And I think that if you try to, this is when I interviewed with Meta. I mean, it was, I was young and I needed the money, and I didn't know. I just did. But one of the things they told me was that basically the whole company is flat, and if there's any problems, you go straight to Zuckerberg. And I said, sure, that sounds like what happens there. That sounds realistic. I believe you. And it's that kind of thing. Is like, because we're laughing, right? Because there's no way that works, right? That doesn't work,
right?
It's just nonsense. So I think that, ownership is why I like to work in small companies, because you can get ownership. You can move things. Yeah. You may even still be a cog in a wheel, feel like a cog in a wheel, but as long as that cog can turn. Whereas if you're not able to turn that cog, then
yeah, there is a counter example of like a large company that is, I mean, not as large as Meta, but Valve, right? They're supposedly a very flat company, but they also kind of like, we work on whatever we want to work on, which is very, very nice.
That's kind of nice. And if I believe that kind of company works, and I'm going to get shot down in flames for this, but that's apparently how I understand that Palantir works as well, right? Is that you kind of work on where you think your efforts could be best put. And the reason that works is because the people they hire are the kind of people who can do that. It wouldn't work in every company where, people are hired, let's say with a lesser bar, like a lower bar to get into entry, because those people wouldn't be able to correctly prioritize, they wouldn't be able to correctly figure out what is and isn't important. It's a certain caliber of person. And I think that maybe Valve has those people, right? And that's great. I love that, right? Complete autonomy. And if you've got complete autonomy like that and the people are right, then you can have a flat structure. But yeah, I don't think anyone believes it can happen at the scale of Meta, even though I'm sure Meta has a high bar as well. But still, it's just there's so many people.
Right. Yeah. Someone has to like make a decision somewhere, right?
Yeah, and it's not always Zuck, right? And the thing is, you can also slice a company up to provide more autonomy. I worked in Sky, which is a huge company. Our team had autonomy, but our team was like 16 people. There were other teams that had absolutely zero autonomy, and it's just because the way things were sliced and diced. And I think if you can slice and dice it, even within a large organization where you have full control, and we had to break down some barriers, like they had a computer provisioning thing. I joined the company as a contractor, getting paid a load of money, and it was going to take 4 weeks for them to get a computer through this provisioning service, and it was going to be just a regular PC that would cost like 800 quid at the shop, and it was $5,000 because it's being provisioned via British Telecom or some crap like that. And they went to PC World and they expensed the computer for me, and they bought the computer and put it on my desk within the same day, right? And it's that kind of thing that if you can do that, it wasn't really allowed, but if you can do that, it can work in a big company. You can have the autonomy and the ownership, and you can control things yourself. But yeah, like there were teams who just wouldn't do that. Be like, well, you just sit there for 4 weeks, getting paid, do nothing, whilst we provision a really expensive computer for you.
Sounds very boring as well.
Very, very boring, very slow. Nothing changes. You get disrupted easily, that kind of thing. So that's why Sky were doing this thing where they would have this autonomy in certain teams to try and change things, and it works. It works. It definitely works.
Yeah. So Ilya, we mentioned kind of like the struggles of working with an NGO. Well, like some of the hard stuff with working with NGOs. What are some of the good things that you've experienced working with these?
I mean, I think it was super helpful to hear Antony explaining like his past employers, because that's the upside. If you work for NGOs, you are usually the only person, and you are the only technical person. And also, like the way I worked is like I also did this product vision, design, creative thing. So basically, also like leading the story or trying to come up with a narrative. First of all, you can be fully creative. If you are a creative person, there's basically no limit what you can contribute to them. And obviously, as a tech person, you can preserve your sanity because you can choose your own stack.
Yeah.
You are not inheriting some like, I don't know, React code base from 2019. You are writing from scratch mostly, right? You will start from scratch, but there's no tailwind there. You just write the stuff the way you imagine it should be written. And I think this is like also, especially now with, with Svelte, with the rapid development of Svelte, that means that you can try out the cutting edge stuff. You can try out Svelte 5 server-side rendering with Bun, or like the thing that I tried out is Svelte in Astro server islands for pre-rendering Astro content, and it works. And I can just present it to them, and then look, we have something, no one has done it before, but it works and it's awesome. And we can make your landing page display 15 events dynamically from a DB, and you don't need to redeploy on every event every time you edit an event. So this freedom gives, like, I don't know, it gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine like being able to just also experimenting, right? With new features and things that you might not be able to do if you're stuck on Svelte 4, for example, which some companies are, right? I think Brittney, you mentioned like a while back that you guys were stuck on Svelte 4 and just had upgraded to Svelte 5 or something.
My previous company, we were stuck on Svelte 3 on the main app, and then they couldn't even upgrade it to Svelte 4, and then we started working on a separate project in Svelte 4 right before Svelte 5 came out, and that one, from what I've heard from people that still work there, is still not migrated. They still haven't worked on this React project they were going to switch to. But the new company I work for, they have like an old plugin that uses Svelte 4, and I'm migrating it to Svelte 5, but in a completely new repo. So we didn't go through the migration, just working on it completely fresh. So
there's like that's usually what happens in a company. You're stuck on an old version of something. Yeah. Like Antony and Zapper.
Well,
do you have news?
I mean, we're still doing it. We now have a dedicated resource, basically, with Puru, right? Who's migrating this page by page. He's getting there. There's a lot to go, but he's getting there. He's getting there.
That's good. Zapper is like ancient at this point, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I bet it still runs, though.
Yeah.
It still runs. It still boots really slowly. It's still like you start the app up and it takes like 20 seconds to start, maybe more.
Was it Ben McCann that like had a bunch of stuff on Zapper for a long time?
I don't know.
Quite possibly.
Or no, who does Elder.js?
Oh, that's Nick.
Nick. Yeah.
But wasn't Elder.js...
No, that's Elder.js is like his own thing. So he built another framework.
I swear somebody was on Zapper for like a really long time and had, I don't remember, a bunch of sites like just still running it for a long time.
If it works, it works.
It does.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it does work in production. It works, right? I think Decathlon had their whole site written in Zapper. I think they were using Zapper. I'm not 100% sure they were just using Svelte and something else, but they rebuilt their site, which was really creaking, and it was amazing in Svelte. And then they recently rebranded and built it again in something else, and it's shit. It is just terrible.
Oh, no.
I love Decathlon. I think they're brilliant, but I don't know why they decided to move away from Svelte. But their new site, it just sucks. It looks like Shopify. Like it's that bad.
Maybe it is Shopify.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think Shopify is necessarily bad, but I think it has a certain format if you don't configure it. And I think it looks like that. It's
Isn't
just
that
very, very
Remix
basic.
now?
Yeah, it probably is, which in itself is right. We're getting down a tangent here, but my point being that it looks like a basic unconfigured Shopify instance, and it operates like one. And you used to be able to really dig into the search a lot and find things you wanted. And now you can't.
Yeah.
You just can't.
This discussion kind of brings up another thought. So working with these NGOs, I assume you don't have to really worry that much about like, in the future we need to upgrade to Svelte 6, because they're probably just going to stick to the website that you build. Or like, how does that? Of course you want to build something that you can maintain, right?
Yeah, what's the lifespan
since it's project based, it must be different.
Both questions are very good, especially Brittney's, because the oldest website I built was like in 2020 or something like this, like a whole website which I built. I don't need to redeploy it. The only thing that breaks is if Safari releases a new version of the browser. Then something always breaks for whatever reason. Like one website I built, I think in 2021, the Academic Freedom Index. There per contract, I need to do daily updates because every year there's a new index. And I went actually the whole story with it so far. It's like it's Astro, but then from Svelte 3 to Svelte 4, from Svelte 4 to Svelte 5.
Yeah.
And I think like that there will be no big changes between Svelte 5 and 6 because the focus is now on SvelteKit, which brings me to like the most up-to-date topic. Right now, I'm helping an NGO basically relaunch their website. And this NGO has existed for almost 10 years. They have like 500 sub-pages and content collections in directors. It's like events, projects, people, pages, all the stuff, like 12 different content collections. And because, first of all, it's a mostly volunteer-run organization. So they, again, also don't have like permanent stuff. Right now, they have a tech person. And this tech person is the only person who knows their way around in directors. And we're going to leave it as it is for now because we're focusing on the website relaunch. But right now we are migrating away from SvelteKit 1 to Astro, just for the sake of the stability for the next year or so. Like I think in I don't know, when SvelteKit 3 is out, I think if it would have been out, I would have made the decision differently. But right now, especially because I want to basically make sure that they can operate next year on their own and do tiny updates, I'm migrating them to Astro. I think what I like about like both SvelteKit and Astro is, the way how pages are structured, how slugs work, file-based routing. It's actually very easy then to translate back and forth as long as your content collection is somewhat stable. Or like in an organized state. So there is no big loss for them right now. And those pages are mostly either fully static or they just need a tiny dynamic part. Yeah. So right. Astro works and SvelteKit works as well. Those websites where you need server-side rendering or something dynamic, obviously those are a bigger concern. And I need to make up my mind yet because this year I built this like whole ecosystem for a community survey app. It's like everything. It's like the Supabase with database. Everything is self-hosted also for privacy reasons. And I'm operating the server and I will continue doing so next year. Again, there's this opportunity. As soon as all the breaking changes arrive in SvelteKit, I can test it out for myself and I can use this production app, basically obviously on a development branch, to test all of it, to figure out what works, what doesn't. And if there is something broken, I can open an issue or talk to the maintainers or something like this. And this is, I think, also like something where I can just create my own time, take my own time to do this because I can kind of, control the timeline when things have to happen. And I'm not sure how this works in the company unless you are very, very senior and your PM or whoever is like trusting you a lot.
I mean, in a company, you always have to. It's all about profit in the end, right? Like it's something costs money. You have to earn money, so there's some priority of like.
And even like an upgrade has to have like some cost value to them to be able to get it done. Yeah. And with the work that you're doing with the NGOs, like, it's like you have this free playground, but you also have consumers of the app you have to think of. And like you said, you're putting them on Astro for stability so that they have access to the things that they need when you're not there anymore.
Yeah. So any other thoughts and questions and stuff about NGOs? I've run all out of my questions.
I can add one because you asked about the upsides of working with NGOs, and there's like this obvious thing is like you are helping usually good people do good things. Yeah. And if you help them, sometimes they have a very particular idea. Like once we built a website for a basically meetup with parliamentarians because they wanted to impact legislation with regards to Telegram. So we had like a hard deadline, and then we launched the website exactly for this event, like in particular for this event, and they succeeded. This legislation then followed, or it happened.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Right, or sometimes you enable them to do, like even just a simple, this is your own self-hosted newsletter management thing, and they're like so happy because they promise to their community that this is like privacy first and nothing, is collected by other companies, and then they can follow up and basically deliver on this promise.
Yeah. And they don't have to pay thousands of dollars for for an email marketing
and especially
solution.
Like this big project, which is called the AfroZensus, which was like a large survey of this German African community. this product, we relaunched it. It's still online. It's been online for 3 or 4 years. And this is like also a dashboard for the community itself, because all those people, many of them have suffered discrimination, or they have been, I don't know, like have been discriminated by the police on the housing market and whatever. And this data set, the motivation for this dashboard was actually to revalidate the people's experiences. So we are not selling something. We are basically just helping people to understand that what they are like, living through is not unique to them, and it's actually a thing. So there is discrimination in society, and they are validated. And just this, I think actually it uplifted the whole community, and then they basically think about bigger plans and bigger ideas, and they have this thing that they can use for advocacy. They can go to politicians, show them the website and the dashboard. And I was like, no, we're talking about thousands of cases of discrimination just by police forces or something like this.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very rewarding, actually.
Yeah, that does sound very fun. Well, I mean, not the issues themselves, but like rewarding. Yeah. All right. So I think we unless anyone has another question, then we move on to the controversial parts of the episode.
No.
So, unpopular opinions. Do you guys have one? Who wants to go first? Antony?
About self-hosting?
Is it going to be out there?
I have a one. Yes. It's not that controversial. It's not that controversial. It's just something that was relevant to me today. So I was thinking about it, and maybe people disagree. I'm sure people can argue over it because they argue over everything, right? My controversial opinion is that people should store states, not effects. And by this I mean something like if you're wondering about the state of something being approved, the effects of something being approved is that it gets published or promoted or featured, whatever. There was a lot of discussion within that team today about what it should be called, whether it should be called published or published at the date of when it's published, or the designer wanted to call it featured because she's going to use featured stuff on the front end. Promotion because it might relate to promoting things at some point. And all this kind of bike shedding about what the name should be, it occurred to me that the actual thing here is a state of something being approved or not approved is what we should be storing, because everything else is kind of like things that you can do with that thing because it is approved. It's just the effects of it being approved rather than the actual state of the object. So we store approved in database or approval, and then we store who approved it, and then we store a date, and everything else is kind of like hanging off that. So store states, not effects.
Interesting. I thought you were going to talk about effect.ts. Like
no.
TypeScript library.
As part of our huge migration to Svelte 5, we are. I'm now learning about effects and everything else, and it's all interesting stuff.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have an unpopular opinion? Brittney, no? Ilya?
I am trying to think. I'm in a pretty good mood today.
Oh, no. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I have my standing unpopular opinion about how more people should self-host.
By the way.
By the way.
Do away with all the CDNs.
Yeah. So you don't go down when Cloudflare goes down. Have you seen those memes online about? So you've seen that XKCD comic thing, right? Where it's like boxes and stuff are stacked on top of each other, and then there's like this small box at the bottom. And it's like, right? Yeah. There's been a bunch of those memes now. Lately. It's pretty funny.
I mean, it was like GitHub was down, and like you couldn't code yesterday with any
GitHub was down as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff down.
Should I self-host Git? Is this what I'm hearing from this? Yeah.
Oh, that would be.
I mean, it's not that bad. There's like lots of solutions for it, but
you already self-host Git, right? That's literally what Git is.
Sure, but you know what I mean, right?
Like you would have to share it if you wanted to work with anyone. But but
you can share it. You just get them to remote into your machine and pull from your Git.
That seems safe.
You are. But you're self-hosting, by the way. But you are you are the server, right? And GitHub is just another server.
That's
Sure.
true.
And you're just syncing them when you pull, right?
Let me clarify.
on.
Should I self-host a Git repository GUI and hosting solution for my Git repositories that I can reach online from other?
That sounds like another side project that'll take you 5 years.
What? No, there's like lots of them, like Git, GitLab, Gitya.
I used to use one. I used to self-host, by the way, on DreamHost when I was on DreamHost, and I had all of the Git repositories on DreamHost, and I was using one there, and I had some kind of UI, and I can't remember what it was. It wasn't very good. It wasn't anything like GitHub. I was very excited to not self-host, by the way, onto GitHub.
Yeah.
Which is free, by the way.
GitHub is free until you run into limits.
Well, yes, but like I've run the whole of Beyond on GitHub free for literally until like 3 months ago. I mean, I don't think the limits are that harsh.
Those free credits, man.
Do you have
Just
like
not free
question,
credits.
popular
Just free.
opinion? I don't know. Like, did anyone have access to Copilot and it just got taken away?
I do have access to Copilot. I've not checked because Copilot, I don't find it that useful.
I don't either as like an AI tool, but for like when you're typing something, it would auto generate it and typically know what I was typing. So it was much faster for me to just hit tab. I have lost that now. And I feel like my productivity has gone down. Like,
but why
so
did you...
I've had free access for 3 years or however long it's been out.
Why?
I don't know. Like I was a member of an organization that got free membership. I would get a monthly email from them saying your membership has been renewed. And then last month, just all of a sudden stripped it away.
Interesting.
And I don't know what organization it was. It never like had any of that in the email. Yeah. So I don't know, like, what do I need to do to get this back? I don't want to pay $100 in a month.
You need to pay for it.
I don't know that it's worth that, but like I missed that easy productivity. Like I use the at component syntax in a lot of my components at the bottom that has like the component documentation, and it's basically marked down in a comment in Svelte.
I need to.
A lot of that would just auto generate for me, and so like things like that, it's so helpful for.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's like one of those hidden features that I always forget about. Like the documenting the components.
That it's so clutch for a design system.
We should. I'm gonna put it in the show notes.
And it works so well with our IntelliSense. You like hover over the component when you use it, and you can see all of the properties that it has. I have this nice table format I use, and it'll show you like basically like a storybook thing that's not interactive, obviously, but you can see everything that you need.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Feature. Yeah.
That'll be my pick. I'm sure I've picked that before, but I'll pick that.
It's worth picking again. Add components, yeah. So Ilya, do you have an unpopular opinion?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should like say it out loud or not. But like, so I like types and I like IntelliSense and all this stuff, but I think I'm like with Rich and I'm not sure if it's most of the core maintainers, but basically I prefer JSDoc over TypeScript for many reasons. And like the main reason is because JSDocs helps me to keep the code readable. So I don't need to think about types when I'm reading the code. I'm reading the code when I'm reading the code. And I think that the way how TypeScript works is not the best solution for providing types or defining types. So I'm a big JSDocs fan.
I actually agree with that, but I hate writing JSDoc. So I like writing TypeScript better.
See, this is why we are paying for Copilot, because it then infers all the stuff. Or rather cursor. I'm using cursor.
Yeah. All right. Picks? Brittney?
I have one of those too. Brittney?
Brittney can go first.
Mine's already done.
Yeah. At component
I don't have
documentation.
to talk about it again.
All right. Antony.
So my pick this week, shock, horror, and surprise, is a technical pick.
Ooh.
My pick is friendly Captcha, and the reason it's friendly Captcha is because it is GDPR compliant, European.
That's an oxymoron.
Based. How do you mean?
A friendly Captcha is an oxymoron.
Well, no, it's not, because one of the things that I like about it, which it's not why I chose it, but I like about it, is it's self-solving. So if you go to the site and you see the Captcha, it will, whilst you're filling in the sign-up form or whatever, it will solve by doing cryptographic puzzles in your browser, and it will solve itself.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose of the Captcha?
No, because I am not a bot. So if you were a bot, if you were a bot, it would not self-solve, right? This is how it works. It's the same way as reCAPTCHA will just not appear if it detects you're not high risk. This does something a little bit different. Maybe, arguably, I don't know how it works exactly, but a little bit cleverer in that it will self-solve in your browser, because it will know that you're not a bot and you're a low risk, but it's just eradicating any remaining risk, right? If you were using some automation or something like that, I imagine it wouldn't solve.
Yeah.
I need something like that. I know I've talked about the Pokemon stuff before, but like the reCAPTCHA is getting insane on Pokemon Center, and you have to the latest one has been like a bird house, and you have to pick which animal will go in this thing in the picture, and it's a birdhouse, so you have to pick the birds, but you have to do it over like 3 times.
Right.
So you have to pick 4 birds 3 times in a row to get through this reCAPTCHA.
It's getting crazy. Like you need a PhD at some point to do CAPTCHAs.
Yeah. I've just got a new pick as well. So because my wife just messaged me. She says that because we're trying to book a holiday. We're trying to book a first holiday in it's literally been 5 years since I've been on a real holiday. And she's found one. The place we want to go. They have a plan. You can go there, like an all-inclusive thing, and it comes with a 24-hour butler.
Oh, and yes.
That sounds horrible.
I want it. It sounds amazing.
That sounds amazing. You just call them up and tell them what you want.
They deliver Tattinger champagne to your room every day.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it just sounds very expensive.
I don't remember MC. It's like a cruise line. MCS.
Oh yeah.
We were supposed to go to Rome, Italy, and leave off and do a Mediterranean cruise right when COVID hit, and it got canceled. But it was going to have a private concierge, 24 hours in the room, and I'm.
But do you actually end up using those? Like whenever I'm at a hotel,
I've never had the opportunity to, but I probably would.
Right.
I've called room service before. I mean, but that's like similar but more personal.
I will definitely use the bottle of champagne every day.
I mean, because you can say to the butler, "We're going to go to the beach. Take our towels down to the beach for us."
Yeah, so nice.
We'll see there.
The amount of laziness I want on my vacation.
No, exactly. But I don't want to bring my own towels. I have children to carry. Take my children. Take my children to the beach.
So your second pick is 24/7 butler. Is that
no? Well, my second pick is this holiday. It sounds great. I want it for 24 hour butler.
Where is it at?
It's in the Maldives. It's a little island in the Maldives. It'll be beautiful. Well, when we book it will be. It's still not booked it. We're still umming and ahhing, but we book it for hopefully next month. Whoop.
I'm sure that's very similar to Hawaii. That's where we're going in January.
Yeah, well, Hawaii was on our list, but we love the Maldives, so I'm excited to go again. Especially be the first time the kids have been to first time they've been on holiday, which is shocking, really. But definitely first time in the Maldives, so I think they'll like it. We're not going to have a water villa this time because the thought of having kids in a water villa treading out into the sea is not amazing.
Yeah,
so we'll get a beach
kids
villa.
Are a little young for that.
Yeah.
This all just sounds very expensive.
We're going to go kayaking.
It is very expensive, Kev.
Kayaking and snorkeling and all the things.
Exactly.
Also sounds a lot of fun.
Paddling. Well,
sounds great.
We like to flip it on its head, Kev. We don't go, it's very expensive, it might be fun. We say it's fun, but it'll be expensive, right? Because,
Okay.
I think there's no better way to spend money than on travel. I
100% agree.
Yeah. So
I think I would agree as well.
It's worth the cost. It's worth the cost.
But where I disagree is I would much rather do a long vacation.
Yeah.
That is cheaper per day than a short one that is more expensive.
But it's not that short. It'll still be 2 weeks.
But
which is a good amount of time.
You could do 2 months.
Wait, we have 2 months.
with 2 months, we can't really take two children away from their school and everything for 2 months. It's not
fair
really
enough.
that practical.
I know. I have fantasized about just letting them do like virtual school or homeschool or something and just going anywhere. I would do a 6-month cruise around the world. I would just travel.
Like those pensioners that are like the seniors that are like
Yeah,
just
it would
living
be a
on
bunch of
cruise
senior
ships.
citizens and me, but yeah, I would do that.
Sounds great. Although, I don't know how you wouldn't get bored on a cruise ship though. Like for
There's
6
the
months.
ports. You got to go
Yeah, I
in the
guess.
ports. I mean,
I see. So you would take like one of those travel around the world cruise ships, not
where it stops at a bunch of different
yeah.
places.
You wouldn't
How
go
long
back
does
and
it
forth
stay?
between Miami and the Caribbean for 6 months.
No, absolutely not. What?
So how long does it stay in a port for?
Usually like a day or two.
Like a normal cruise, you only stay for like 6 to 10 hours, depending on the port.
Quite short.
That is very short. But some of these longer cruises, like this that we're talking about, they do stay overnight sometimes, and they'll stay in longer ports.
It's still short. You're still spending 6 months on a ship with a couple of days here. But
Correct,
it's like
yes.
it feels like it's quite weighted
It's
in
not
terms of
enough
being at
to
sea.
like experience everything about the place that you're going, but you get a little bit of the culture, and then you kind of figure out, where do I want to go back to and spend more time?
That's true. It's like a tasting flight.
Yes,
like
it
a flight
is.
of
It's a
tasting
flight
beer.
of places.
Jesus. This was one of the longest tangents we've ever been on, I think.
This is definitely a tangent of a tangent.
We can talk about
Welcome to Svelte Radio, Ilja.
Don't worry, we will chat. We'll chat, Kev, about your long cheap holidays really soon. But
am I being shamed for preferring cheaper holidays that go on for longer?
I have been on many cheap holidays, and I mean cheap holidays as in like self-hosting. By the way, no self-accommodating. In hostels and stuff like that. By the way,
you know why I can go on holiday all the time? It's because I'm self-hosting. By the way,
self-hosting. By the way, exactly.
Not paying Vercel $16,000 a year.
Yeah.
Or sorry, no. Did you? Oh, by the way, did you solve the Google Big Data BigQuery thing that you were talking about the other week?
Well, first of all, we've put a bunch of slots in place. We've got a slot reservation, so we've reduced our bills by controlling them a bit. But I'm going to move the whole lot, I think, to Postgres because I don't think we use BigQuery for what it's designed for. Yeah, so I will do whenever I get 10 seconds. I will actually go back to working on that, which is my primary thing right now.
Yeah, totally get it. All right, Ilya, do you have a pick?
How many picks do I get?
You can
as many as you want.
Have as many as you want, but we will be here for hours if you have 10,000 of them.
All right. I mean, I probably have 10,000. So, like for all Svelte developers, all Svelte developers need to use svelte-render-scan from Stanislav and svelte-inspect-value from Eirik. Those are like the two most useful libraries that exist in the Svelte ecosystem. Svelte-inspect-value. Right.
Value. So
this is the one which gives you this pane where you just plug all your state into it and it renders it reactively. Yeah. And if it's an object, it will render the whole object. And you never have to add another, code position fix details thing.
Are they packages like you install in your library, or are they? Okay.
Yeah, the packages, you install them and then you just mount them as a regular component. And render scan will render everything. Basically, if you wrap your whatever section or component in Svelte render scan, it will render everything that happens within it. It highlights every re-render.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's brilliant.
That's
great. Brilliant,
yeah.
Especially for, effect and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So those were my two Svelte related ones. The third one is Sarah Swadan. The accessibility expert. Her course, Practical Accessibility, is on discount right now. And this only happens like once a year or so. Mm-hmm. And it's a hefty discount of like 30%. So I think everyone should go and buy it.
Yeah.
That's my 3 picks for this week.
All right. Cool. All right. So I have 2 picks. So one is you can just do things. And I did just that this week. Because I've long been talking about like having a SvelteKit adapter that renders to a service worker. And I've always been intimidated by the adapter thing, like how do you even build one and stuff. But using the power of LLMs, I managed to actually create one, which was very nice. So I did some experimentation, and I built an adapter that basically takes your whole SvelteKit application and puts it inside of this service worker. So you have server endpoints, you have form actions, and all of that good stuff.
Which LLM did you use?
So I used Claude Code.
Mm.
Yeah.
I could have guessed.
Yeah, that's my go-to. It's just very nice.
It is very nice.
So I'm going to pick that. And then you reminded me of another one of Stanislav's projects. And it's like a showcase of how to build a progressive web app that kind of feels native. And so I met him yesterday here in Stockholm. We had a Svelte lunch that we usually do once a month. We just go somewhere and eat lunch, a bunch of Svelte people. And so he told us about this thing called SparklePost, which is like a Twitter clone that he made. And it's just like this very nice experience that you can install on your phone as like a PWA. So, and it feels native, which is nice. Then I have one last pick. Sorry. This was my original pick. So I have started reading a series called Hierarchy, which is like a fantasy book series by James Islington. It's very nice. He just released the second book in a trilogy, and I can really recommend it if you're into fantasy. So, yeah,
That might be my next book.
yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
So, Kevin, if I understand you correctly, that means that you will turn the Svelte playground into a progressive web app.
Well, that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to try it, or that I picked this thing up again, because I kind of want to be able to do SvelteKit like the playground, right? The same kind of experience of not having to install web containers and all this crap that you have to install, and it takes forever and it breaks half the time depending on the browser that you're using and stuff. But there's like this one big thing is that it's hard to tie together like updating the files to actually building it and deploying it, because you have to actually build it to get it to adapt, right? So you can't do it in like a dev environment, if that makes sense. Or at least I don't know how to. Maybe some magician that knows Vite really, really well can figure that out. I don't know. But yeah, so those are my 3 picks. A lot of picks this week, right? That's crazy. All right. Thank you, Ilya, for joining us. It was a lot of fun. I had no idea about all this NGO stuff. And it's kind of opened another world as to how like there's this other thing where you produce stuff for NGOs that's very different to how you would build for other people. And of course,
the floating head.
Sorry.
I made myself the floating head.
Interesting.
I think we're losing it.
My stomach is growling.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.